Okay, so at this point, by today, you should be ready to write your fourth paragraph or body paragraph number 3. So at this point, it helps to go back over what your introductory paragraph is about. My introduction was when I was growing up, my sister and I had a blanket that our mom would give us when we were sick. It made us feel better. It is one of my favorite things. The blanket was an ugly brown and yellow comforter that my mom and dad used to have on their bed. The blanket was an ugly brown and yellow comforter that my mom and dad used to have on their bed a long time ago. It had the harvest flower print that was popular in the 1970s. I'm going to take that line out. We're going to continue to edit as we work. Each time you read through each paragraph, you might find things that you want to make, to improve, to add to clarify. This blanket, so we're going to the thesis. This blanket always made our family feel good and loved when we were wrapped up in it. I can still remember how it felt when I was snuggled up tight in it when I was sick as a little girl. Body paragraph 1, I'm going to tell the story about where it came from. The feel-good blanket came from Kmart sometime in the 1970s. I'm not going to put the topic sentence as where it came from or it came from Kmart. I gave more detail as the feel-good blanket came from Walmart and we bought it sometime in the 1970s. My mother was a frequent shopper at Kmart. We would go get a slush puppy and a small bag of popcorn while my mom shopped for things we might need at home. If you've paid attention, you will notice that I add additional details here with I added a small bag of popcorn. One day, she bought a new comforter that was going to go on our bed. My parents had that bedspread on their bed for years. My sister and I would sneak into their bed at night to sleep. When we were sick, we would often sleep in their bed because it made us feel better. Eventually, my mom got a new blanket for her bed that replaced the brown and yellow one that we had come to love. Body paragraph 2, I put up here, hey, this is what it looks like. The harvest flower print is one that is hard to describe, but it's still a vivid picture in my mind. The background color was a dark brown, and the flip side of the blanket used to be a warm, sunny yellow. The flowers were tiny little flowers that had 4 or 5 petals. Each flower was a different harvest color. The harvest color scheme was in many homes in the 1970s. Browns, yellows, greens, soft whites mixed together with simple patterns. Think of the old TV show Little House on the Prairie and you'd have a good idea of the kind of flowers. The fabric was very soft and smooth with a quilted pattern to keep it all together. The transition is basically your concluding paragraph, and it's going to lead you into or lead the reader into the next paragraph. It used to be very thick and fluffy with the blanket filling, but it lost a lot of its fluffiness over time. So my body paragraph number 3, where the feel-good blanket is now. Now, I'm not going to include these headers that I'm putting here. This is just a way for me to remind myself this is what I want it to be about. So my topic sentence is, let me think, because it's with my sister right now. How would I do that? Let's say, although both my sister and I wanted to take the blanket with us when we moved out of our parents' house, the feel-good blanket is now in the home of my little sister. So I'm going to take these out. Remember, example 1 is supporting sentence, and the explanation is more detail. Example 2 is another supporting sentence, and the explanation is additional detail. So let's see. So the feel-good blanket is now in the home of my little sister. She still uses it when she isn't feeling well. Oops. I do sometimes wish that I was able to take the blanket with me, but I know that it wouldn't have held up to the rough and tumble of my 3 boys as they grew up. Okay, so although both my sister and I wanted to take the blanket with us when we moved out of our parents' house, and you'll notice parents has an S with an apostrophe after because the S is for both of my parents because they are still alive. The feel-good blanket is now in the home of my little sister. She still uses it when she isn't feeling well. I do sometimes wish that I was able to take the blanket with me, but I know that it wouldn't have held up to the rough and tumble of my 3 boys as they grew up. I have my feel-good blanket that my children and I use when we are sick, but I still think of the original feel good blanket that I had when I was growing up. Oops. So in the next video, I will go over how to write your concluding paragraph.